Scream 7 just had a record opening weekend at the box office. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this weekend's box office winners. Now before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss what movies are killing it at the box office. But now let's get into the numbers. Paramount seems to finally have woken up from a slumber, as the studio not only snagged Warner Bros. Away from Netflix, but also their horror franchise Scream just had its biggest opening weekend in history, as Scream 7 just opened a $64 million domestically, and allied to its $33 million international debut, the film had a $97 million global debut. And with a $45 million budget, the film is definitely going to break even and turn a profit in theaters. Now, as mentioned, Scream 7's opening weekend is the biggest in the franchise's history, surpassing Scream 3's $34 million debut and Scream 6's $44 million debut, meaning that the return of Sidney Prescott brought in an additional $20 million compared to the previous film. Now, speaking of which, it looks like the controversy behind the scenes did little to no damage to Scream 7's opening weekend, as general audiences prefer nostalgia over anything else. However, even so, those who went to see the film weren't as happy leaving the film, as the film received a B- cinema score, which is tied to Scream 4 as the lowest cinema score for the franchise. It's a mixed score, and it may mean that word of mouth is not amazing. As for demos, the biggest crowd came from 25 to 34-year-olds at 32%, and 40% of the audience opted to see the film on a premium screen. The audience as a whole was 39% Caucasian, 30% Latino/Hispanic, 20% Black, and 3% Asian American, signaling a drop in Latino and Asian moviegoers compared to the last film, but an increase in Black moviegoers. Anyways, now let's take a look at the rest of the top 10. At number 2 was Sony's GOAT, which made another $12 million in its third weekend, dropping a very healthy 29%. And Sony must continue to be thrilled with their newest animated hit, as the film has made $73 million in the States and $130 million worldwide. At number 3 was Wuthering Heights, making another $6.9 million in weekend 3 and dropping 50%. The film has now made $72 million domestically and $192 million worldwide. While at number 4 was the 21 Pilots live film, which debuted at $4.3 million. Coming in at number 5 was an Elvis Presley concert film, which made another $3.5 million in weekend number 2, and increasing 9% from last weekend due to it adding more theaters. At number 6 was Crime 101, making another $3.4 million, and dropping 38% from last weekend. The film has now made $30 million in the States and $57 million worldwide. Coming in at number 7 was I Can Only Imagine 2, dropping a harsh 60% in weekend number 2 and making just $3.1 million. At number 8 was Sam Raimi's Send Help, making another $2.2 million and dropping 48%. The film has now made $59 million in the States and $86 million worldwide, and it's definitely on track to pass the $100 million worldwide mark. At number 9 was How to Make a Killing, making another $1.5 million in weekend number 2 and dropping 55%. And rounding out the top 10 was Zootopia 2 in its 14th weekend in theaters, making $1.4 million and dropping 35%. The film has now made $425 million in the States and $1.85 billion worldwide, officially becoming the biggest movie of 2025 both domestically and worldwide. And that wraps up this weekend's box office, as Scream 7 shattered all expectations. Let me know in the comments what movie, if any, did you see in theaters this weekend. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and tune in next weekend to see how Pixar's Hoppers does in its debut. And as always, keep watching.